Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. Today I am so excited. I am doing my 23 favorites of 2023. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, you will hear details of my giveaway. So stay tuned till the end of the video and you can figure out how to enter into my giveaway. So just to get straight into the video, I have 23 books here. One of them is a series technically, so it's technically more than 23 videos. However, I count them all as one and we're just gonna go with that. So these are in no particular order. These are just the 23 books that I read in 2023 that I liked the most, and I read a ton of really good books in 2023, so this was very difficult. So let's get started. So the first book I have is The Many Lives of Mama Love. This is a memoir by Laura Love Hardin. The reason this was, first of all, this was a book of the month pick, so normally I would probably never have heard about this or picked it up, but I'm so glad that I did. I tend to enjoy a memoir here and there, but they're not my most read genre by any means. However, this book was absolutely fantastic. It discussed a lot of the ups and downs of the prison system. I would say that they're mostly downs of the prison system here in the US, and just how difficult it is to break that cycle. This is a book, obviously it's a memoir about Laura, who is a suburban mom living in California, got into the wrong substances and goes to prison for it, and it just kind of discusses her fall and then her rise up back to becoming a best-selling author. I think she did a little work for Oprah at one point. She also was a huge advocate for other women in the prison system. So highly recommend this book. It was a very, very good read. I read it back in the summer and I still think about it to this day. The next book is Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang. This is actually my very first R.F. Kuang book that I read. I have Babel by her on my shelf. That is going to be one of the books that I want to get to next year. It just intimidates me, but after reading this, I want to read more of her writing. Her writing is phenomenal. This book was so good. It's about two best friends who are both writers. One of them is very successful, the other is not. One of them ends up dying and the other one ends up taking their story, essentially stealing their story, and yellow facing it. The most popular one is just a white female, and she ends up taking the story, Chinese laborers during World War I, and spins it off as her own, and it's very, very interesting. I highly recommend this. Such a good book. Did a terrible job of explaining that, but I do highly recommend you guys read that. The next one that I read this year that I absolutely loved was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This was my very first Blake Crouch. I still haven't read any other Blake Crouches, but I do have him on my shelf on my TBR because holy crap, this book was fantastic. What a mind twist. It's science fiction. I don't really want to tell you too much about it because it's insane. I still think about this book to this day. It's about a man who ends up delving into this time-space continuum and different timelines, and just it's fighting for his family, and just it's so good, and it's short and it's so good. I just read this book, trust me, it's so good. Can't wait to read more by Blake Crouch. The next one, which is one of the first books that I read this year, was actually Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. To this day, this is one of the best romance books, like love stories I've ever read, and I wouldn't even call this so much a romance. It's more of a contemporary fiction, I feel like. I don't know. It's so good. It follows a married couple, Yasmin and Josiah, and they have kids together, and their marriage is just kind of falling apart. They're going through a rough patch. They end up divorcing and trying to find themselves, and it's whether or not they can make it back to each other. This was such a good book. I genuinely cannot recommend this enough. suffice it to say, all of these were pretty much 5 stars for me, or 6-star books, because they wouldn't have made it on this list otherwise. But this book was fantastic. Kennedy Ryan's writing is just, it grips you and it makes you feel literally all the feelings. So love that book. Another book that I picked up this year was The Push by Ashley Audrain. This book was crazy. I recommended this book to so many people. I recommended all these books to so many people, but this was like a psychological thriller, and wow, the ending. So I will say, obviously for all of these, look up your trigger warnings. This one especially, if you're a new mom, I wouldn't recommend. This does deal with a mom and a daughter and their relationship. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. The daughter is a little cray-cray, but I could not. The ending of this book had my mouth, like, had my jaw on the floor. Like, I will definitely be rereading these. I'll be rereading all of these. These are books that I would reread, but this book especially, like, oh my god, I don't think I've ever read a psychological thriller that has been this good, like, ever. It's also pretty short, so. The next one that I picked up this year was No Exit by Taylor Adams. I knew his new book was coming out this year, The Last Word, so I wanted to get in No Exit before I read that one, and wow. You guys were not joking when you said this book was amazing. This is a mystery suspense thriller novel. Mystery suspense thriller novel, that is a big chunk mouthful, but it goes over one night. This girl who is on a road trip ends up having to pull over because there's this snowstorm and it's just too big, she cannot continue on. So she pulls over into a rest stop and meets a few other people, and one of them is, when she goes in, she sees that a little girl has been essentially kidnapped and is in the back of one of these people's cars, and she is trying to figure out who it is over the span of one night, and try to save this girl. And oh my god, this kept me on my toes. I have never read a book so fast, a thriller so fast. Even The Push, like, it took me a couple of days, just I was savoring it, but this book, I had to know. Like, it just kept going and going. Every chapter ended on a cliffhanger. I mean, it's just so good. If you have not read No Exit by Taylor Adams yet, what are you doing? The Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This was my first Frederick Bachman book, and I definitely will be checking out more of his books because his writing, just, it's gut-wrenching the way he writes his characters. These characters especially, I feel like you were meant to not really like them, but at the end you felt bad for them. And in a way, I can't really give you what this book is about because I would be giving away essentially the basis of what this book was meant to tell you. But just know it's about a group of strangers and how they all connect to each other, how everybody connects to each other, and it was so beautiful. I just love this book. I think about this book every day, and just it really changes your perspective on other people and how you perceive them and how you're perceived and just all that stuff. It's just, it's a very, very good book. The next one is Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone. I buddy read this with Vanessa this year, and I knew that when I read this, I was gonna feel so many feelings and she was gonna hit me right in the gut, and she did with this book. It's so beautiful. This is the perfect winter book. But it is a book about a family, mom, dad, and daughter. I don't remember names. It's been a while since I read it, but essentially the dad is experiencing PTSD from fighting in the war, and he like gets his family, they're gonna move to Alaska to be off grid and like self-sufficient and stuff, and so they move to Alaska, and he is just honestly a terrible person, but he puts them through a ton of stuff. This is a great book about the relationship between a mother and daughter and just found family, and it's chef's kiss. This book is so good. I can't even do it justice. If you have not read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, you need to. It's so good. I know historical fiction will turn some people off, but somehow this just, I don't know. I don't want to say historical fiction is boring because I tend to like historical fiction, but this didn't so much feel like historical fiction as it did just a really great fiction book. The next one is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I have yet to read Two Twisted Crowns, which I've heard people say is even better, which is crazy. This was my first ever book that I annotated this year, or just in general, honestly. It got me into annotating. This is a fantasy book about a girl who basically lives with darkness inside of her, and the magic system in this book was so unique. Essentially, there are different cards, and if you have these cards, you have these powers, and there's like romance, it's like women empowerment. I mean, it's just, this book was so good. I really need to read the next one. I am probably just gonna go ahead and reread this one because I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, this book was fantastic, and it is only a duology, so it's not gonna be a super long drawn out fantasy series. The second one's already out. You can read them back to back. Love that. The next one is another memoir. It is the last memoir, and that is the Britney Spears memoir, The Woman in Me. I know you guys probably have already heard of this memoir. It's huge release this year. It was a huge release this year. The reason that I am putting this on my 23 of 2023 is because growing up, I was a huge Britney Spears stan. And when all of this stuff went down with her shaving her head and just how she was portrayed in the media, I have stayed wondering, like, what exactly happened to you? Like, what did Hollywood do to you to make you, you know, because just become who she has become? And I always knew it was something tragic because I don't, Hollywood, and I can't with Hollywood. Like, I don't think that Hollywood is healthy or anything like that, but she really put all of it in here. And honestly, I'm glad she named names. I'm glad she told the story she did, because these people need to be held accountable for the crap that they do. I can't believe that there are celebrities out there that treat women or people in general like this in private and go out and just are still loved. Like, she was essentially forced to keep some of this stuff secret, or she did it out of the kindness of her heart. I don't know, but Justin Timberlake, I do not like you. I do not like you at all. Anyways, moving on. The next one is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This was fan-freaking-tastic. This is a thriller novel, essentially. I would call it more of a literary fiction, based off of the Ted Bundy murders from the Florida sorority house. But instead of portraying, and I know if you guys watched my Book of the Month video, you probably already know this, but I feel very strongly about how society portrays serial killers and just essentially terrible people in general via the media. I hate that we give them attention. I hate that when there is something tragic that happens, we focus on who did it versus who it was done to. I don't like how we've been romanticizing serial killers in movies and TV shows. I don't like it, because these people's families are still out there, and as a mother myself and a sister and a daughter, like, I can't imagine how some of these families feel. Anyways, this book, like I said, is based off the Ted Bundy murders that happened in Florida at the sorority house. However, it's told from the women's point of view, the women that were affected. It does not focus on the serial killers. It focuses on the women, and I adore Jessica Knoll for putting this out in the world. And if you have not read this, please read it. It is so important, and it's such a good book. Like this is one of my favorite books ever. Moving on to the next book, which is kind of interesting now that we just talked about serial killers and all that, but this is fiction, 100% fiction. I read the Cat and Mouse duet this year, and wow, that was my introduction into dark romance, and holy crap, these books were so good. I could not decide which one I liked more, but as I thought about it, I really liked Hunting Adeline just a little bit more than the first one. She is a little bit thicker, and yeah, but I just, the plot of these books, they're not just dark romance, they are stalker romances, so definitely please look up your trigger warnings before you dive into this series. But I just like the plot better, the storyline in this a little bit more than the first one. I feel like the first one is just setting up the story kind of and the characters. This one just boom, it just went straight into it, and it was so good. Also a character in here, Molly, that you'll meet. She has a book. H.D. Carlton wrote a book for her called Where's Molly, and it's coming out next year, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to read it. So yeah, definitely love me some H.D. Carlton. I actually have Does It Hurt on my shelf to read by her, and I cannot wait to get to it. The next book is Sharkheart by Sharkheart, A Love Story by Emily Havoc. This book shocked me. When I saw this was on Book of the Month, first of all, I'd never heard of it, so I'm glad. My main reason why I love Book of the Month so much is because they introduce books to me that I probably wouldn't have heard of otherwise. When I read the synopsis of this, I was like, what? A gorgeous debut novel of marriage, motherhood, metamorphosis, and letting go, this intergenerational love story begins with newlyweds Rin and her husband Lewis, a man who over the course of 9 months transforms into a great white shark. Now you may be hearing that and be like me and be like, what? This is a love story about a guy who turns into a shark? Yes, but no. If you liked Remarkably Bright Creatures, which was one of my favorite books of last year, you will love this. This book is so much deeper than just how it sounds. It's so much deeper than just a love story. It is, honestly, I don't even want to say too much about it because it's just, I feel like one of those books you need to just go into kind of blind. And I love it so much. And it is kind of written like a playwright, just with how it's very short. Like, it looks long, but as you can see, it's not long at all. The pages are barely filled in. It's so good. Please go read this. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. So the next one I actually read during Summerween, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is my first Grady Hendrix. There's a lot of firsts here. This was my first ever Grady Hendrix. I loved this book. It was such a fun time. There was some controversial stuff in here, but honestly, I really liked this book. It was really good. It was just a good time, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Don't watch the movie. The movie sucks. I literally watched it right after I read the book, and I kind of regret that because I can't get that movie out of my head. It just was not good. But wow, this book was so good. I did read A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by him this year, and it wasn't really for me. This book, however, so good. Also, I should probably tell you what this is about. It's about a girl whose best friend gets an exorcism. I don't want to say more than that. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. The next one is quite definitely in my top 3 of the year. I adore this book so much. I cannot wait. The second one comes out in just a few days. I am so ready for it. I'm gonna scream when I have that in my hands. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This book was phenomenal. I genuinely have no words to express how much I adore this book. This book follows Roman and Iris. They both work, they're kind of, it's an enemies to lovers YA. So essentially there's like a war of the gods going on. Roman and Iris both work at this newspaper, and they're both kind of fighting for his position. One of them ends up getting it, the other one ends up going to fight, and they're not fighting the war, but goes to live in the midst of the war to be able to write a story on it. There's a magical typewriter that they write to each other. It's just the ending of this, to me this beat Fourth Wing. Honestly, I loved Fourth Wing, but this beat out Fourth Wing. Even though it is YA. Like, if you have not read this, you are seriously missing out. Rebecca's writing, so whimsical, so lyrical. I cannot wait to read more by her just because of this writing. I cannot wait to read the second one to find out what happened. I don't want to say anything else because it'll give it too much away, but I love this book. I love it so much that I had originally gotten it through Book of the Month, read it, gave that one to my mom, and then bought this one because I needed that cover. Honestly, I would love the special edition one of these, but I can't spend $300 on a book. So I love this book so much. It's so good. Next one is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. Another one that I got through Book of the Month that I would not have known about otherwise. This book was just so freaking fun. If you like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and all that stuff growing up, you're gonna love this book. This is so heartwarming. It is found family. It's about a woman who's a teacher, and she wants to adopt this little boy who's in foster care, but she doesn't make enough, so she enters into this competition for this writer of these books that she really loves. She ends up getting accepted into the competition, and she goes there, and it's just, this book has my whole heart. Like, okay, my battery died and my camera cut me off. So as I was saying, this book just has my whole heart. I love this book so much. If you haven't read it, go read it. Then we will get into the obvious Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I almost said Ross. No, not Rebecca Ross. Rebecca Ross wrote Divine Rivals. Rebecca Yarros wrote Fourth Wing. Yeah, I picked this up randomly at Costco one day, and then I found out that this was like super limited edition, so I got my mom one, and yeah, I'm thankful because I love it. But honestly, this book, fire. Whether you have the sprayed edge, the normal edge, fire. This book has not, I have not felt this way about a book since reading like Harry Potter or Twilight. Like, I literally went to the midnight release of Iron Flame. I adore these books. Are they trashy romance? I don't know. I think that's up to your discretion. However, for me, yes, please. I eat these books up every time. The only thing that is wrong with it is that the whole series isn't out, okay? I am in love with Violet. I'm in love with Xaden. Dane is another story. Rhiannon, her best friend. This is essentially about a girl named Violet who, her mom is like the head of this school where you have you've got writers, scribes. Honestly, I don't remember anybody else. It just mainly goes over writers and scribes. There's different quadrants, and she's been studying to be a scribe for essentially her whole life, and then her mom just one day is like, actually, you're going to be a writer, so you need to, you know, get it together. And there's dragons, there's magic, there's love, there's everything you could ever want is in this book, and I adore it. Please read it. I feel like I don't really need to say much more. Enemies to lovers, just, God, so good. Family Secrets. Okay. Is Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. Again, another Book of the Month choice that I probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise. This was the sweetest and saddest and just love story ever. I don't know if that was this book ripped my heart into a million pieces, and honestly, I loved every second of it. This follows Adelaide, who essentially upends her entire life for this boy who does not give a shit about her. And but it's so much more than that. I can't go into detail. You see how short this is? I would be giving everything away. It is a love story. It is beautifully written. Genevieve Wheeler is an amazing writer. Can't wait to see more from her. I think this was her debut novel. If you love love stories, and this is not YA, if you love love stories and you love tragic love stories, you need to read this. It's amazing, and this cover is honestly beautiful. I love it. Okay, so I actually forgot to add a couple of books into this, so I am just gonna add this somewhere in the video, and I'll have the books up here on the screen. So there are 3 books that I do not have in my possession at the moment. One of them is being lent out to my mom. The other 2 I just don't own physically yet, but I will just go through them really quickly. So the first one is The Island by Adrienne McKenty, I believe. This is a thriller. I highly recommend the audiobook. The woman that does the audiobook does such a good job. But it is about a family who goes to Australia and they accidentally run over someone, and it's just a really bad situation. Overall, just very tense, page turning. It's just a really good, really good thriller book. The second one is Hello Stranger by Katherine Center. I read this as a buddy read with Vanessa this year, and I fell in love with Katherine Center. This book is about a woman who has facial blindness, and it is a romance, but it's also, I would say it's more of, again, less a romance, more of a women empowerment story. It's about a woman who, again, has facial blindness. I keep saying that, but she does, and she is entering a art competition where she normally does portraits of people, but after she gets the facial blindness, she is still entering to do a portrait, and there's love interest, there's finding herself. It's just overall really good book. And then the third one, the last one, but not the last in my heart, that was super cheesy, but is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I read that in Yours Truly this year. I loved Part of Your World a little bit more than Yours Truly, but it is just a romance. However, I am not a huge fan of cheesy romances, and this one was not cheesy. It had me laughing, and I just felt everything for these characters. There's a baby goat. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So that is all for the books that I don't currently have on my shelf, which is why I forgot them, but they're not forgotten in my heart. Again, so cheesy, but so true. Okay, now we are at the last one. This is a series I was talking about. This will come as no surprise to anyone, but it is the ACOTAR A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I'm still not done with the Court of Silver Flames. Reindeer Readathon kind of got in the way of that, but holy guacamole, I adore this series so much. Sarah J. Maas is a queen. Prior to this, I had only read Crescent City. What was I doing? I literally have these in hardback and paperback because, you guys, I tabbed these to no end. Like, I had a time with these. I am currently, like I said, in the middle, or I'm almost done with the Court of Silver Flames. I got my tabbies. I have like this much left. So I really need to finish this because Crescent City 3 comes out next month, and I want to reread the first one and read the second one. But yeah, these are, I don't feel like I need to speak on these. These are amazing. If you know, you know. With this one I really liked. Okay, so this one obviously is the first one, second, third, fourth. Well, this is a novella, so it's like 3.5, and then that's the fourth one. This one sets up the story. This one tears the story apart. I'm just kidding. Tears the romance apart. And is very spicy. It's very romancy. This one is action-packed, And this one is so cute. You get to know the characters just in their day-to-day lives, which I love because I just wanted to see the characters interact without anything crazy happening, and this definitely delivered. So that is it for my 23 of 2023. Stay tuned for the giveaway, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Okay, so for the giveaway, as you know, if you watched my New York vlog, I received a second copy of this book because I already own it. This is a second copy. I Kiss Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. McQuiston? I don't know if I said that right. But I want to give this away to one of you guys because I just genuinely really appreciate you guys following me, subscribing to this channel, watching the videos, doing the live streams. And I want to give this to one of you. So if you guys are interested in winning this book, go ahead and leave me a comment down in the description box saying that you want to be entered into the giveaway. I may accompany this with something else, who knows. However, there are some rules here. You do need to be at least 18 years or older, live in the US, and you need to be okay with providing me your address or an address to ship these to, because obviously this is coming from me, not Amazon. So yeah, if you are okay with any of that, or if you're okay with all of that and you'd like to be entered into this giveaway, like I said, all you need to do is be subscribed, and put a comment down below saying that you'd like to be entered into the giveaway, and you will be entered, and I will do a random drawing of whoever wins, and I will notify you. Actually, how about this? Go ahead and leave me a comment saying you want to be entered into the giveaway, and if you have an Instagram, then go ahead and leave your Instagram down below so that I can message you on there to get all the information I need to ship this out to you. So that is it for the giveaway. Thank you guys so much for watching this channel this year. I have had so much fun. I know I've only been on here since June or July, but I genuinely have made so many awesome connections and friends, and just met you guys and read so many amazing books and gotten so many good book recommendations, and just I am so thankful for YouTube and this community, and I genuinely don't know what to say. So I can't wait for next year with you guys. Look out for a ton of very exciting content coming soon. I may have a couple announcements coming to you very soon, but yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!